I was born in South Australia, Clare, and under an old farmhouse that I think my father was renting. And I remember a few things. I remember falling off the veranda into a rose bush, a very thorny rose bush, and being cut about something awful pickled, and they got me out of that. And yes, I remember much of my childhood. I think the very worst part was I loved my old daddy very much, but he was killed in the New Guinea campaign. So I was 9 years old then. My mother couldn't look after 5 of us, so we were put in orphanages. I was put in a girls' home in Edwardstown, Adelaide, and the brothers were put in one, and we were fostered out right up to working age for 4 or 5 years. So we never had a founded, a loving home life. No sooner you get settled in than the foster parents would go broke, lose a job, or get financially embarrassed, and they'd shovel you back in the girls' home. But actually speaking, I like the girls' home more than foster parents. Simply because I think that's when I found that I was going to be more of a lover towards my own sex than male sex. I really felt that at that 9 years of age. And then I thought now to succeed, a jealous man, I said in the sheep shearing on the property where I was fostered with my younger brother. We were kept together for a long time, and I thought, well, that's for me. I loved the film of Silky White Wool, and I think the white comes around with a purity in your mind, psychological. You wanted to look at things that was pure, and nothing could be more pure and fleecy white than wool, I don't think.
Tell us a bit about your childhood through the 1930s. Did you go to school at all?
Oh yes, yes, I liked to. I went to first year high, which was then you done your primary into grade 7, and then you went to high school first and second year. If you was going to go for high professions such as medical or soliciting or something like this, you usually had to do third year high. But I went into first year high, and then I went to work. I was 13 when I went to first year high, and then when World War II was coming to an end, and the New Guinea campaign, and the Japanese were bombing Darwin and all that, and they got into Sydney Harbour, and that's when I went to work, because there was no money to educate me, not even through the government. Nowhere. There wasn't. You could walk down the street, you wouldn't collect 2 shillings. Well, then they sent me, the welfare sent me down as a jaileroo on a property out from Narrowcourt, farming. That's when I took up rural industry. And I was sent down there to milk the house cows and just help with general bits on the farm, you see.
How old were you when you learnt to shear?
Well, I first started when I was about 16. That was to do a bit of what they call cleaning up for the shearers where the sheep were a bit daggy and that, you see, and also taking the wool from around the eyes so the sheep didn't get wool blind. So a farmer taught me that. So then, when I was 17, I went to Stockowners Pastoral Shearing Company. I said, oh, I'm a full-blown shearer, blah, 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 when I didn't know A from Z, really. They said, we can't put you in the team. They said, how old are you? And I said, oh, I'm 19, they said. All right. No, but you've got to have a partner. That's the rule. So I walked out very, very despondent. And there's a fellow from Broken Hill, Bobby Stokes, and he was only 19 or 20. And he said, look, love, I'll get you in the team. And I thought, well, here's a go. So just tell them we're mates, we're partners. So we went back in, you see. Bobby said, she's my mate, my partner. And yeah, she can shear all right. So they sent us up to Roxbury Downs, now the military atomic base. We were the last team to ever shear in that shed.
Was that the Maralinga tests?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was great, being the last team of shearers ever in there. Yeah, well, I took a pen with Bobby Stokes, and he taught me a lot about shearing, you know. And from there, I really went well. Came back to Melbourne, come down to Melbourne, and I met a gay man, Arthur Stovers, in Kensington at the RSL club. So I settled with him for 31 years, and that suited me.
Did you have a relationship? Was it a platonic relationship or a sexual relationship with Arthur?
No, no sexual. It was with Bobby Stokes, but not enjoyable. I didn't take, but it was a necessity to get in with the profession.
Yes.
To learn.
And
because it's a top thing, it takes 2 or 3 years to really learn all the tricks. Because he's no saint to me, and never will be. And we all go through it. After you've been raped by a guy, it blackens your mind on him. He could see that I was a woman, and he just knocked me rotten and went ahead. And then left me. And anyway, later on, a trapper pulled up, and he could see I was in a mess, and he took me to Broken Hill Hospital. They patched me up. So, okay, but that's... Sometimes when you're on your own, you don't expect it to happen, but it does.
So, tell us about your first girlfriend.
Well, the first real lesbian was Bobby Gill. she was such a character. I'm sitting with a coffee at Central Street Station, Spencer Street, and this lady's dragging a sausage bag behind her, and she got her brother and a sister. They just come to Melbourne from Cooley Rup down there somewhere, and I'm the only one at my table, and she said to me, "Can I share your table?" I said, "Sure." So they pulled a chair up, and he went and got some coffees. And Bobby Gill looked at me, and I looked at her. And she said, "How would you like to meet a nice girl with long, sleek black hair, wearing square, sexy glasses and Joe and that?" And I looked around, I said, "I don't see one." I said, "I'd love to meet ladies, but I don't know where one." I said, "You see?" And she said, "That's me." And I looked at her, and I gave her a kiss behind the ear, and I said, "Well, that's me too." So we took it from there. So we were partners for about 2 years. But she was always a marijuana smoker, or what do you call it, cannabis. I think the police call it cannabis anyway. That was her downfall. And she finished up having a stroke on it, and in hospital. She came out of hospital, she went back to it again, and when she pranged the car up that I bought for her, went down a culvert, then they said in the hospital, "Well, you're in for good, you know, you're a danger to the public and everything." And she had a heavy stroke, affected her mind.
Can you tell us about your Aboriginal girlfriend?
Oh, well, that was sad. That was early in life. It was at the time then, I was shearing, and there's a couple of Aboriginal boys in a team, and it's before they brought the doll in. And them dark boys, they were good workers. The doll ruined them. But they could shear, they were good horsemen, excellent horsemen. So one of his sisters, you see, she was gay or lesbian, and we we got together, and she joined up a team, and she was rouseabouting and that. Well, the rotten bloody police come out the watershed and they arrested both of us. This was on Nullarbor station, right on the edge of the Nullarbor. And they come out and they arrested us, they had to let her go. And she had a hitchhike back to the station all about 40 or 50 miles, an arid country. But they held me till next day and took me to court and they charged me for consulting with an part Aboriginal female. It didn't matter whether it's female or male. Now, and that made it hard.
Were you convicted?
Yes. I was convicted twice. The first time I was fined, I think nearly all the money I earned at that station. Then then we went back together. And then the second time I went to court, I was given 6 weeks in jail.
Whereabouts did you serve the time?
In Adelaide prison. Well, actually, my son was to Bobby Stokes that I first went with in the shearing shed, you see. So, when he was about 21, I bought him a Harley Davidson. He put some money in. But then he killed himself out from Port Augusta. There, well over the speed limit, hit a rail line. And up there, the rail lines, you really got to stop for them, because they jump that far above the road. And you hit them even in the car. You bust all your front end and everything. So he did himself in there, so that was that. So Ronnie boy here, that was the end of him, so yeah.
Did Ronnie move around with you shearing when he was a kid?
Oh yeah, for about, it used to be good because the cook used to put him in a great big bathtub. They had a big aluminium iron tin bathtubs in the old days. So he used to put him in there with a soup label, a few toys like that, a soup label and the rolling pin and that. So he made a bang bang. Yeah. So then after I finished in the shed, I'd bath him in the washcloth and clean dress him and that, and sit him at the dinner table there, and all the shearers, I loved him because most of them had families at home, a lot of them. So I didn't used to see much of him. And we'd go into the township, and oh my God, wouldn't they make a mess of him with chocolates and ice cream all day long. Yeah. I didn't see him. They all had him, carting him around. Now, when I started off in the early years, the basic wage was £2 a week in factories and that. The council worked at £2 a week. Now, we shearers were earning in the day, so we were earning in 5.5 days, at 40 a week then. We were earning 11 and £12 a week against £2. And that was when many shearers shore for about 6 or 7 years and brought land. And many a farmer was an ex-shearer, you see. And they were the great times. Now, I can go back to Roxby Downs where there was no transport. You were picked up at the side, you get an old station truck and sat on the back there. No seat belts on it. On Saturday afternoon, the shearers got bored, so they decided they'd make their own alcohol. They boiled up a big pot of coffee and they poured a bottle of metho in it, and they called it Coffee Royal. And you ought to see them about 8 o'clock at night. None of them were on their feet, staggering around.
They had a reputation for being hard workers and hard drinkers.
Hard drinkers and then too, hard fighters, swearing and all that. big deals. Today a shearer doesn't make a big deal. They're a sheep shearer, they're welcome, they're nice gentlemen, they don't get a job. Nowadays, one swear word on a board and they sack them. Get out. There's ladies and children in the shed. Today the ladies and children go in the wool sheds and watch it for a while. They're welcome.
But it used to be a men's domain. It used to be a men's only domain.
Yeah, it was their domain, and today they're accepting this because they love to sit down with the girls and have to smoke and joke and think they're flirting around. They love us in the sheds.
And how does that compare to how it used to be when you first started shearing?
When I first started shearing, well, the women wouldn't go in the sheds because there was too much foul language. It's not that the men didn't want them in, it's just that they wouldn't go in with their children. So then, many years later, I did buy a little farmlet, but I was over the hill for working just about then.
How old were you when you bought the farm?
79, 80. So I worked it for 4 or 5 years and did well out of it. Yeah, I made it pay. I sold it for something like 40,000 profit, and that was okay.
Can you tell us about the farm? Where was it and what did you farm?
Well, I only bought a 20-acre hobby farm with a lovely mud brick house on it, a big 30-foot deep dam full of water. Trees fringed the edge of it. I was back against the state forest. It had a creek running through it called Burnt Creek. It had wildlife to go down and trap a rabbit or something like that if you wanted a roasted rabbit. And had everything there, well fenced. So then I got a paddock back behind, about 250 acres on a gisford that I put sheep on. I put a few sheep on the house block too. Yeah, and I went for that, you see, and that was good. Yeah. And I shored the sheep myself. I didn't have to pay work or labour and plaster wall. And yeah, that was good. So then later on, I decided it's time to retire. I was about, I don't know, 82, something like that, when I went in. 80, I suppose, when I went into retirement. I was right up till then. I was happy to work.